In this video, I just wanted to briefly discuss what you can do in regards to frost for your winter vegetable garden and how to deal with that. And then I also wanted to show you guys some of what I'm growing currently in my garden. First of all, if you live in an area like Sacramento, where I live, any kind of zone 9, 9B, you don't really have to worry too much about this. Whatever winter crops you're growing will most likely be very resistant to the level of frost that we get in these areas. We are getting some really bad weather here in the Sacramento area right now, but it's not really of concern. There's a lot of rain going on. We're having some very cold temperatures, but again, nothing to worry about if you have winter crops planted. So things like garlic, onions, broccoli, brassicas in general, things like cilantro, parsley, lettuce, they'll do fine. Lettuce, beets, they can be a little bit more susceptible, but you don't really need to worry about it in the current temperatures. Only if you get like in the 20s and low 20s, then we can have some problems. So the main thing that you can do to avoid damage is cover your plants. If you know that there's going to be a severe frost, you can cover them with anything, literally. If you have plastic tarp, that's great. I have a lot of excess of that because when it deteriorates enough that I can't use it for my hoop house, then I tend to save it and use it for stuff like that. But you could use blankets, you could use towels, you could literally use anything. The frost usually happens in the middle of the night, so that is the time that you want to cover it. So you'll just cover it overnight and you take it off the next morning and things should be okay. All you're trying to do is provide them a little bit of protection, a little bit of insulation, just to avoid them taking the hit. If you have other things planted, for example, let's say you have peppers, because peppers can often survive the winter, especially our mild winters. Those kind of plants I would definitely cover in this type of weather because they will not make it. They'll probably freeze and die. But just by covering them, they'll survive. For example, peppers for me survive a winter in the greenhouse. I usually keep a couple of plants over winter, and yeah, they do fine. They can take the cold. They just stop kind of growing, vegetating. As long as they don't freeze, they can survive. So for your beds, just use whatever features you already have installed. If you have some kind of trellis or something that can help you cover some plants. In my case, I have some cages here. Just use those. You just put something on top, a blanket, a towel, anything. Even a table. If you have like a folding table, you can spread that open. As long as it's covered, it doesn't have to be a soft cover. Any type of cover or shielding that will prevent the frost from settling due to radiative cooling. These are some of the crops I've been growing. I have some garlic there in the middle, some kale, some Paris Island lettuce, some La La Rosa lettuce, the red one, and also have some kale. Some mustards there. This is another variety of lettuce. It's called Slow Bolt. It's a curly variety, supposed to be more resistant to heat. And right next to it, there's some cilantro and more garlic, some parsley over there in the corner, and then celery. That's so all those plants look sort of similar. And in this other bed, I have some beets covered there because the squirrels love them. They just eat the leaves. They eat them to a stump. And I have some fava beans planted. And you can see how here these have been eaten. Yeah, they just love beets. Here's a nice row of spinach. And then in that box over there, I'm planning to put some potatoes. And I'll be adding the boxes to keep filling that in with more compost so that the potatoes can keep producing. At the top of the beds, I have sugar snap peas planted. And I just use tomato cages for support. And any other type of trellis will work. Here are more fava beans, as well as some peas. Here in the middle, there's some cilantro, some celery. I had some beets here. Of course, the squirrels destroyed them because this area is not covered. These are daikon radishes and some kohlrabi in the middle there, some endive, and that's a Chinese cabbage. Really like that cabbage. And then we got some garlic, which is just starting to sprout up, and more fava beans here, as well as a couple of lettuces interspersed in there. Yeah, these were the first ones I planted. Then I planted these some weeks later, so they're just different stages. And I thought I'd end by showing you the little garden that my kids planted in the last video. So it's growing. We actually picked a few lettuce leaves already because they wanted to taste them. They don't like it. I guess the lettuce is not that fun. It's not sweet enough, but except for the Paris Island, which ironically we didn't plant here. That one tends to have a very sweet leaf. Actually, my oldest son enjoys that. But yeah, so this is growing up quite nicely. I'll be posting a video on seed starting soon, but hope you enjoyed this little update, and thank you for watching.